Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Uh,
Am
so,
I on?
uh, yeah, you're here. We can hear you.
Oh, wow. Hi.
How are you guys?
Good.
I'm good. How is everyone?
Hey, Samuel, you want to change your name real quick? It says, I think that's your father's name, right?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, you could just right-click your profile and you could rename yourself. So, I'll just start us off. Hi, my name is Brian Tong. I really want to thank both of you for being here today, and to talk about Asian representation within the arts, right? And my name is Brian, Brian Tong. I'm a junior at the Bronx High School of Science, and I've been delving in the performing arts for my entire life. I've done Latin dancing, I've done singing, and semi-professional acting. And yeah, that's me. How about you, Rosanna?
Hi, I'm Rosanna Gao, and I am from Great Neck South High. I'm a junior, and I'm really interested in musical theater and the arts and music. I play piano, and I sing, and I'm a part of choir, and I attend a lot of theater and music festivals, so I'm really interested in that. And I'm also the co-founder of Music for Change. So it's basically a non-for-profit, and our goal is to just spread awareness and spread positivity about on current events or like things that are happening. So I'm really excited that you guys are here with us today. And Rob, do you want to introduce yourself?
Uh,
Um,
which
like,
Rob?
Your name?
yeah, I did.
You change one. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
that's Rob's this. No, no, yeah.
You
That.
can you can go ahead. You can go ahead, Samuel.
uh, um, uh, when I was 5, I was in Miss Saigon on Broadway. Um, um, I play piano and I love to sing and I love to do musical theater. Um, I did many concerts in China. I sing a lot, and I did some commercials and a lot of acting, TV shows and movies. And I just shot this animated movie, and I'm in Sesame Street for season 52, and also maybe next year in late spring I will go to the um go to Goodspeed Opera House for South Pacific.
Wow.
Thanks.
It's
Oh, thank
amazing.
you, Samuel. How about you, Rob?
Um, Not nearly whatever Samuel said. That's amazing. Um,
Thanks.
yeah.
I'm 8 years old.
It's what was that?
I'm 8 years old, turning
8 years old.
nine, turning
Oh wow.
9 in less than a month.
Wow. Well, happy early
Uh,
birthday.
Thanks.
Um, Rosanna and Brian, it's nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me on. My name's Rob, and I'm an actor. I don't been in some TV stuff and um, movies. Did some theater stuff, comedy stuff, in comedy clubs. I used to live in New York, and then now I live in Los Angeles. So this is my really crappy couch that you guys get this insight into my living room here. Um, that's kind of all I got. um, yeah, I'll let you guys, Rosanna and Brian, lead what whatever you
Yeah,
guys want to talk about.
so I just wanted to get to know you guys a little bit better. So, what got you interested in the arts? Both of you are actors. So um, you can start off, Rob. So, what got you into the arts in the first place?
What got me into the arts? I think it was a happy accident. Um, I, when I was Samuel's age, I didn't think about acting at all. I think we were like into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that in school. Um, but yeah, I didn't grow up with any any sort of ambitions of acting. I think I just watched movies like other kids and would dream about being in stuff. Like when you see like a cool action sequence or like Star Wars or something, or you see somebody breakdancing on the TV screen. I wished I was breakdancing. I can't breakdance. So let's see. How did I end up in the arts? I just I did something else entirely. I studied finance and accounting in school, and I did that in New York, and then happened to meet an actor while I was out, and then the next day went to sign up for a class, and that's kind of how I started.
That's great to hear. It's kind of, when you said a happy accident, it reminded me of a monologue talking about a happy accident. It's talking about love, and that's also where I started off in acting. I never really thought about acting as well until I was in middle school, when I was just randomly put into a play, and then that's where it also led me off.
Wow.
How about you, Samuel? You're really young, as like everyone can see. So
My mom is a piano teacher, and one of their students actually got a manager for me, Lisa Callie, and put me in Abrams, and that's how I started acting at like age 5.
With me, I know that a lot of Asians start to get into the music through piano. And my parents, they didn't force me to play piano, but I was actually really interested in it at a young age. So I was really interested in music. And then in middle school, there was theater, and then everyone did theater. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try theater because everyone else is doing theater. And then I started really liking it. I did it professionally for a little while. I was in some commercials, but then I had high school, so I got a little bit busy. So I'm not doing it professionally, but I'm still really interested in theater and the arts. So I know that all of us kind of have a background in the arts. So have you guys faced any challenges or discrimination as Asian Americans involved in the arts?
Not me yet.
Oh, that's so sad. You said not yet. I'm just kidding. There's no laugh track here. Anyway, I played. I forgot. I played piano too, Rosanna. So played violin also. So I guess I did grow up with arts and music. Also had an art room at home all the time because my mom was a painter. So I grew up with that around. I guess as what was the question on any sort of
Discrimination or
discrimination?
challenges?
God, you know, I'd say maybe not overtly, but I think it's I think it's definitely something that Asian actors experience. When you're out there pursuing projects and going in for auditions and stuff. I think there were definitely at least 2 auditions I could think of where the material was really offensive. Like it was, and it was like one of these things you pick it up and you're just like, oh, this is terrible. It's like not even close to, like it's so glaringly offensive and it's out there and it's current. I'd say that particular experience I'm talking about would probably happen in the last 5 years. So it's not even like a long time ago. But I do remember not wanting to go in on it. You know, I think when you're starting acting, and you know, you get auditions there. I haven't had since I started. It's never been a matter of volume as far as auditions go. So I do remember going in for this thing, and they were like probably about 4 other Asian actors there, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, we're all looking at each other like, this is offensive, right? It's like so bad. And you know, in that particular audition, I actually went there, sat there waiting for a bit, and then I left. So I didn't even go in. So it's like, I just don't want to do this. There's other stuff that did go, you know, that, you know, I remember this, there was this, what was that show? What's that one with it's set in the diner?
Oh, Fresh Off the Boat?
No, the one where it's Two Broke Girls.
Oh, Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls. I remember going in for that in New York, and the character I thought was offensive, the way it was written, because it was more so making fun of, like, the comedy came from the fact that he was Asian, you know, and how you know, you can never be with a girl, that sort of thing, and so I did go in on that, but I turned it the other way around, that the thing they were making fun of, I thought it'd be funnier if this guy was really proud of being who he is. So, you know, there was this, like, one of the lines was something about like having a man camel toe, and then she was like making fun of him, and then so, like, instead of me, like, on the sides it said he's extremely embarrassed by being called out for having a men's camel toe, and so I ended up you know, being proud of the fact that I had this camel toe thing, and then so, like, I thought it was hilarious. I was like making it talk and everything. And sorry, Samuel. I was like totally making the camel toe talk, and you know, like, the casting director's like laughing, and I thought that's something I could do if, you know, if I want to, if it's written like this is the way I would make it funny, because the other way wasn't even funny. You know, it's like one thing if it's offensive, it's like doubly offensive if it's not even funny. So you know, I've had stuff like that. Oh yeah, all this discrimination is coming into, I think I blocked it out. I think it's been trauma or something like that. I've definitely been on sets, many sets, and this is like kind of an experience I think a lot of Asian actors feel or have experienced. And some of this stuff has actually been really recent too, which was shocking to me. But oftentimes when you're on like a TV, it's mostly in TV, like you're in a TV set, like for some reason, like if there's, like I've been in things where, you know, I'm in a scene with a bunch of Asians, and, you know, like when I show up, you know, I'm directed to, you know, where the background is, like the background actors are, because they just assume that I'm one of the background actors, and then so, like, I'll go along with that wherever they lead me, but then, like, I've also been in those same environments where I just see them treating everyone like objects, and it's just like terrible. It's almost like this, you know, like they're not going to understand what I'm saying, so I have to tell you to go back there. No, a little bit to your left, a little bit over here. No, over there. And I've actually seen Asian actors be like, instead of being, you know, going up to them and saying, could you just take a step to your left, please? Where they'll actually go up to them, grab them by the shoulders, and physically move them. And I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you know, this is like, I don't, you're like moving a human being like they're a prop or something. So things like that definitely I've experienced that. And I hope Samuel never experiences that. I hope things change.
I remember that happening to me a few times. Most of the time, it's just like pointing and I don't know if they have the intention of being disrespectful, but that's definitely how it comes off of. I think they're just trying to be like assertive, but it just comes off wrong. I There's a story about me when I was auditioning for high schools. Um, when I was auditioning for an art school in Manhattan, it was like the school where it's not just acting, but it was acting and singing and dancing. You have to do all of them to get in. And one of the people there who were like guiding us was an Asian girl, and she went up to me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're an Asian guy. You don't see those often." And she was talking to me about how she was really hoping for me to get in, uh, because she said that there wasn't a lot of Asian people there, and she felt like left out, and how everyone there was like white. And that's just that leads into the next question of like how difficult is it for Asian Americans to be successful in their industry? And I think Rosanna wants to say something as well.
Oh yes. We had like previous webinars with different influence celebrities in the arts, and they talked so much about how it was kind of like subtle racist things that people did, offensive things that they did. It wasn't really direct, but it was subtle, and I think that that's really similar to how Rob described it as well. Just wanted to add that on.
Yeah, no, it's like it is like such a subtle thing. Like I've actually, that I've talked to other Asian actors about it, because it's like one of these things. Like it's, you can pick up on a little bit of weirdness, or that sort of treatment, and so sometimes it's like absolutely clear, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, I'm picking up on something. Is it just me? And then usually, like when you get a bunch of Asian actors together, they'll be like, oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Like it's hard to describe it. But yeah, I think that's. I don't think these cases are, or these instances are where I'm projecting something, because I think I'm pretty normal and present with people. So, I think it's just part of navigating, just other people. It's like everybody shows up and they're people, and they, like, I don't doubt for a second that some people are just, like there's some PAs or people on sets who are they're just trying to do their job, so they're not, maybe they're not, they lack tact in some way, or the social graces to, in that they've got somebody talking in their ear and they're just trying to, maybe somebody's yelling at them. I've been on some sets where you can just kind of feel that negative energy in the air, like, because like either one of the like the execs or the director or somebody's like really pissed off, or it's like a new show that's starting and it's like kind of stressful, so you can kind of feel that in the air, and I think that can trickle down, to the people you'd interact with. I'm sure as we continue talking, more things will pop up in my head, but I think those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Yeah, Samuel, do you think it's difficult for Asian American artists to be successful in the industry?
I don't really know.
Yeah, you don't have to answer. All right, cool. So I feel like there's always like subtle negative portrayals of Asians in the modern age, like stereotypical characters, such as like the awkward fob or with a heavy accent, or like the side character that's a nerd. And I think it happens in like all movies and a lot of TV shows. And do you guys have do you guys have any opinions towards that, and what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think things should change. It's there's definitely stuff. Yeah, this is where it is like when it comes to like we're all human, right? So it's like when you see these characters that are just defined as a type, like the nerd or the this or that, it's so reductive of like boiling someone down to a like a character or a style, as opposed to just like I think we all can be like nerdy in some way. I definitely am a geek in a way, but I think I'm a weirdo. I think I'm proud of being a weirdo. Like I don't think for for the parts out there, like it should just be that you could like aside from that character being the nerd or something like that, if it had story to support it in some way, that you could see the journey of the way we are in different parts of lives, but for the most part, there is a frustration of a lot of times the main character is a white character that gets to go through the journey with a story because they have the scenes that are laid out in, whether it's a play or a TV show or a movie, they get to just go through that journey, and you get to see bits of them interacting in their life, going through their obstacles, going after what they want, and the relationships that they have. And then oftentimes the side characters don't have that story that's supported underneath it. So like you always want to be in support of whatever story you're telling. But like if that's all it's given you is this one scene, you don't want to be like trying to add all this stuff into it because it's not supported by the story. So that it's limited by, I think, the writing a lot of times. I have nothing against like being the outsider, in a story. I love those sort of characters. I think it's boring when it's like a quarterback sort of guy who's just got everything together. That the underdog stories are always the more interesting stories, where it's just I think people really respond to the human want of being seen or acknowledged or being themselves, and oftentimes it's like it's the person who's not obviously the popular one. I always think those are more interesting, but I think there's definitely more room for what they call the leading man parts. But I kind of view that as it's not so much the way you look, it's the story. Like you're a leading man or woman if you have that journey in the story. It's not about you having to look like a model or not, or having to be good looking or this or that. It's just simply you're following this person. It's the person you're following in that story.
I think that's really well said. We asked this question before, and no one really had they all had similar responses, but not so much to yours. You mentioned how like I kind of as it depends on how it's portrayed. Like on the surface, just saying a stereotypical nerd, but if there's like a story behind that, then that's what makes it interesting. And in acting and storytelling, which is what it essentially is,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
mean,
nice.
I would love to. I love playing, people who are so different than me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have to you know, if it's somebody who is, you know, like a nerd or perceived to be a nerd. I think those are just like dated terms anyway. You know, it's like things have changed so much, and I think for the better. I think like a lot of people recognize that what, you know, when I was growing up, you know, what was considered a nerd, it's like, hey, the nerds actually rule the world when you grow up, and it's the people who peak early that they're, you know, they're kind of just staying in their hometown, just doing kind of nothing with their lives, you know. So it's, you know, if you know, like if Steve Jobs was a nerd, I'd be a nerd any day, you know. Samuel, how do you feel about playing a nerd, or what kind of characters do you want to play?
Or what characters have you played before? Tell us about it.
Well, I played Tam before, Miss Saigon, but he just stands there. So there's nothing that he really does really
I think I saw that. I think I probably have seen you. I'm guessing.
like it.
Do you want to say what the character is like? What do you think is the story behind them, even if they just stand there?
Do you guys know the movie Otherhood? Netflix?
Mm-mm.
Not really.
I've heard of it.
Patricia Arquette is in it, and I'm in it. Well, I was playing piano in the movie.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to put that in my queue, my massive queue. It's I've got so many movies and TV shows I gotta watch.
Samuel, were you with Leia Salonga during Miss Saigon? Like, did you meet her and like?
No.
Yes, you did.
You had a picture with her. She went over taxi.
Oh yeah.
Remember, you had pizza with her.
Yeah.
I forgot.
You're only 5. Yeah. You were only 5.
Almost 4 years now.
Yes.
Miss Saigon is a very well known show that like represents that is a great representation of Asian American within the arts. So it's really cool that you were in that show and got to be with some of the great people that represent Asian American artists and actors.
Thanks.
So,
Brian, by the way, I just noticed your incredibly aggressive chair there.
not people. A lot of people like to mention it. But
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just really comfortable. People identify it as a gaming chair, but it's nice.
It almost looks like a superhero suit that you just put a button, you push a button, and it just kind of envelops.
Practically, I feel like one. So, how well represented do you think Asian Americans are in acting? Since that's what you guys are in, do you think it's well rounded? Do you think it's a lot? Do you think it's a fair amount, or do you think it's underrepresented and there should be something done about it?
I think it's deeply underrepresented, and I think yeah, things are getting better, but it's very much not that different. I don't think, you know, when it comes down to things. I think oftentimes, you know, it's infuriating for me when I you know, look at, you know, if you join a show and you got, you know, there's like 5 cast members, main cast members or something like that, and then you have you know, you get one Asian person on there. Okay, that's okay. You get 2 Asian people on there. Oh, it's maybe that's not a good thing. Okay, maybe it's a guy and a girl. Okay, and then if you have like a third Asian on there, suddenly it's like an Asian. It's like, whoa, it's like too many. It's like this is now an Asian thing, and that's not what this this project is supposed to be. So I think that there's that mentality that's definitely still out there. That that I think we lost Samuel. Oh, here he is. There's that there can only be one sort of mentality that's out there. So it's like, you see a lot of more Asian actors out there, but and whether it's East Asians, South Asian, Indian, it's still not a thriving sort of changed environment. I don't think, because there is that sort of thought that like even on like the representation side, like when you look at agents and managers, or like that side of things, there's still that mentality of, look, like we already have somebody who's Asian on the roster, and there might be some overlap, so we don't know if we can represent you, or we have to talk about it, when the rest of their client list, like it's like, wow, do you have this conversation with all these blondes and brunettes that definitely play the same type, more so than me and somebody else. So it might even be like an Asian agent or manager who's asking that thing. So it's like there's plenty of like Asians who are in a position. There's so many actually people of color who are in positions of power in the industry, but there's still that thought of like the business side of it, that there's not enough money to be made, by there's not enough work out there, so we pick our one horse, that we'll try to go out there with. So I think that's like there's definitely that currently in the environment. So if things are changing, I think they are with every Asian actor who gets a part and is out there. And maybe that's the way things change. We got more writers out there and directors. There's definitely. I think that's kind of the way to. The quickest way to make change is to just have more work created by Asians, and it doesn't have to be like something that's overtly Asian. It could just be that like just some story that happens to have a lot of Asians in it, and I don't often see like the Asian American experience in stories so much.
Kind of reminded me of a movie I saw like a few years ago. It was called The Great Wall, and it was an action movie, I believe. And the thing about it was practically all Asians, right? It was an American movie that featured almost completely all Asians, except for the two main characters who so happened to be white, which I found really amusing. A movie called The Great Wall, set in China, and two white guys come in to be the main characters, and I don't know, there was just something about it.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Oh, I found it really amusing.
I mean, it's like comical, but I that's. I mean, we're used to seeing that, that ridiculousness of it's often I mean the person who wrote it is probably Caucasian, or so people write what they know, and a lot of times people don't know, they don't, I think about that too. Like, I mean, like if I were writing, it would be my particular experience growing, being born and raised in the US and in the Midwest, I'd write about what I know and what I've experienced, at least initially, and then maybe I'd I don't know, write a story where it's an army of Caucasians and then the Asian guy is the hero in it.
See, the thing is, you never get to see that. Come on, what's up with that?
No, yeah, what would it be called? It's it.
I don't know. The Great Statue of Liberty. Before you were talking about trying to just get more jobs for like Asian Americans, just having more jobs there. But the situation that we're in, based on like COVID-19, a huge thing is that there's the lack of importance that people say in acting and in Broadway. So, how has COVID-19 affected you as an artist? Sammy, you want to start us off this time, or?
Well,
You can do South Pacific, right?
I'm gonna do South Pacific.
Supposed to be April.
Well, it was supposed to be April, but it's supposed to be April this year, but it was postponed to over a year. It was postponed to June, to next year in June because of COVID.
Mm.
Not
Also,
immediately,
You
though.
did the Six Apple play.
Oh yeah, and I did the Six Apple play, but
Read.
It was a reading of a play.
but the producer got sick, so we couldn't do it.
Did he get COVID sick?
We don't know.
Most
That's the
likely.
beginning of the
It was
COVID.
very
That was beginning of COVID. It was very bad.
Yeah, it's been a strange time. Where are you, Samuel?
I'm
In
in
New York?
Hartsdale. It's
Westchester.
New York, Westchester. It's 8:37 p.m.
Yeah.
It's way past his bedtime.
I would have already been in pajamas by now.
Oh wow.
Sorry to keep you here.
And then we
It's-
put on my night contacts and then go to sleep.
Wow. I mean, it's a pandemic. Everyone's in pajamas 24/7, right? Or you can be if you
I
want
want
to.
to go to sleep, and every single thing is on digital. We literally can't even meet in person. We have to go on Zoom.
Wow.
So Samuel's saying it's not bad.
I,
Okay, guys, I think it's time. Hi, I'm Samuel's dad,
Oh, hi.
and that's Samuel's mom.
hi.
But it's getting to be late for him, so I think we're gonna say goodbye.
Of course, that's all right. Mhm. We
But
were so glad to have you here today. I hope you learned something new, or because I think we learned stuff about you too.
yeah, okay. Well, thanks so much for hosting him. We appreciate it, and
Of course.
In the future, maybe something a little bit, when he's older.
Yeah.
Of course.
Talk
Thank
more.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Samuel.
Bye.
Bye, Samuel's parents. Wow.
All
All right, now
it's just us.
it's on. No, I'm kidding.
Uh,
You guys, this is so great that you guys are doing this. By the way, so I'm thrilled to meet you guys. I was very excited to, and this was highly anticipated because Jonathan had connected me with Rosanna, and so we've been talking. We've been talking about this for quite a while, so it's nice to finally meet you guys. And
that's great.
so and yeah, I'm here to share whatever you want to talk about.
I'm actually writing a play with Jonathan, and it's kind of similar. It's about like stereotyping, but all the characters are playing like different things that they would usually not play. Like there's this girl, she wants to be a quarterback, and then she goes to professional football, and there are all of these weird characters. So I'm currently working with that with
That's
Jonathan.
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I did, I did a play with Jonathan. He cast me in one of his plays. This was like way back when. And to his credit, it was actually okay. Here's a representation sort of thing. Okay, this was like when I was starting acting, and I would submit for everything, like every single thing I could. So this was like before I had an agent or anything. So like when I would, I this was in the Fringe Festival, his play, and I remember submitting for it. It wasn't written for an Asian guy, and then I didn't get any response. So I actually showed up to I went to the casting, and then they saw me for it, and I ended up getting the part. So that's good on Jonathan for putting an Asian up on stage.
Yay.
Yeah, shout out. I don't even know if he's gonna see this.
I think watching it live, but I think he's going to be watching it later. For the people who are watching right now and confused, Jonathan is a screenwriter, I believe, right?
Yes. Oh, also, speaking of the movies that you guys were talking about, the Mulan live action movie came out during quarantine, and there's gotten a lot of mixed reviews about it. Do you guys know what it is? Like, do you guys know what it is? Like, what it was?
Mulan? Oh yeah.
The live
Oh,
action.
wait, you mean the controversy around it?
The controversy behind it.
No, I vaguely remember.
It was like, so basically all of the actors, right, the ones on screen were of Asian descent, but then the like screenwriter and then the producers were all white and Caucasian. So there's like some controversy about it. Some people think it was a good try because at least they were trying, but then other people thought it was offensive because they didn't think it was good. It was a good it was like a good representation of Mulan and like Asian culture in general. So what do you guys think about that?
I don't know if you guys know the original animated Mulan movie. Do you know if it was written by Asian American writers or because
I am so woefully ignorant when it comes to Mulan. I have some friends who grew up and they love the story, and I think I saw the animated thing, but I have no idea who wrote it.
Me neither. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would play into part.
I would be surprised. I feel like we would know though if it was an Asian writer who wrote
Mulan.
Like it would be wasn't it like an appropriated story that was like generally known, like a folklore or something like that, and they made it into some animated story. I think.
I feel like Disney like put a spin on a lot of the shows. Like for example, Little Mermaid. The Grimm brothers were the original writers of the Little Mermaid, and Disney like just changed it a lot and made it like more happy, even though realistically there was like a different ending. And
oh yeah, like not making it as dark as the original source material. Yeah. I thought, like with Mulan, I thought there was some other controversy. Like it had to do with some political thing that one of the actresses, like something to do with like she was, I don't know, maybe she like tweeted something in support of like what was going on in Hong Kong or something like that, and then people, Asians overseas were like,
yeah,
like
I'm not exactly sure if we're allowed to
this thing or something like that. Yeah, I think there was something about that.
I think it was like public support for like the Hong Kong police or something.
Yeah, I think there was something like that. But I don't know. Now we're talking about stuff I don't know that much about. But I am happy that it was an all Asian cast, and that Matt Damon wasn't shooting arrows, or deflecting things or riding horses. I think Matt Damon's amazing, by the way. He's actually the one person that I think when I did meet him in person, and I did get starstruck. It was just like, oh wow, and I never would have expected it, but I was like, he didn't seem real to me. He seemed like an action figure or something. And I was like, oh, that's Matt Damon. Oh my God, that's Matt Damon. That's so weird. He looks exactly the same as yeah. So that was going through my head
He does
as I
not.
was staying by myself in the corner, just not talking. So yeah.
Cool. So we only have 15 minutes left, but Rob, what advice do you give young Asian Americans who are interested in the arts and want to pursue it in the future?
I think you should do what you want to do. And, the thing I do know about life and stuff is if you can be doing something that doesn't feel like work, you're going to have, I think, a better shot at having a fulfilling life. So if you have the gift of finding that early on in life, that's amazing. You have a lot of time and things will change. And, I don't, I think it's hard to be led by, like the industry's this or that, like carrying that, like there aren't opportunities, we need to do this, like more Asians and, more people of color, that like, that's good, but you got to stay inside of yourself too, and be true to who you are, and it's not, it's like not being involved and active in that, but not losing sight of the fact that you're a complete human. Like when I say Asians, it's like that's only a label. That's like one way to describe me, but that doesn't even come close to what people are. They're more than their ethnicity. So my advice would be to be true to yourself, and if you are excited and happy to pursue the arts, I mean that's and that, and like do it. I would say, like I think a lot of people care about what their parents think about or their family, and I think I think that's family is always a tough thing to navigate, but I think a lot of good parenting is just reflecting back to kids that they're individuals, that they can think, they can have opinions, and that they're valid. So holding the space for them to be who they are, and that includes doing what they want to do. So I would say don't just describe yourself as whatever ethnicity you are, or just some sliver of who you are. Just do whatever you want to do, and don't limit yourself to, if you like writing and you like acting, do both of them. If you like to sing, do that. You could also, like, I think we're all like natural storytellers too. You can't help but learn story just by consuming the things that we do. By I think anybody who watches TV or movies, you know how to tell a story. What happened. What was high school like? What was freshman year like for you? Or when this happened, and you describe it and you tell that, like, oh, that's a story. So it's like anybody, you can spend less time thinking about trying to do something right, to do it in a proper way, and more time just actually doing it, and then you can learn craft and all these things to add to it, because there's definitely a respect for the arts, of the crafts, but I think whatever you want to do, you should do it. That's, like why not be happy? You don't know what's going to happen in life.
Yeah, definitely. Rob, were your parents supportive of you doing like the arts and like acting?
No, not really. Well, you know, they went through an evolution. I'd say my mom was always supportive. Um, when I started acting, you know, I started and I didn't really think of it as, you know, something I'd do for a living. But I remember when I started, it was just, and my parents knew about it. Um, you know, my mom was supportive, but my dad was, I think he saw it as a more of a hobby or something like that. And he didn't want me to tell any of my family. Like, so like, you know, we'd have Thanksgiving and my cousins and people would be, and they'd be asking me about my job, and I'd left my job. So I'd like just look at my dad, and because he you know, he was like, don't say anything. But then when I got my first TV part, and they were sitting in Chicago, and I was in New York, and I think there was something about my dad being able to see me on TV that it made it real for him or something. And then suddenly he became my biggest fan. And then that lasted for maybe like, I don't know, like a year and a half or something like that, maybe. And then it became like, you know, maybe you should think about, you know, going back to business and think about raising a family and stuff like that. But I think I just kind of didn't listen to any of it, really. You know, most of you know, after my parents accepted the fact that I was doing this, they didn't really. My mom was always saying, "Oh, you know, that's so great and everything," but my dad, he was just more silent about it. But I could tell that he was, you know, he was proud of me for sure. But even if he didn't tell me about it, you know, and you know, it was more so like some of the other family members, you know, like cousins and stuff that would overtly be like, hey Robert, what did, you know, hey baby, how's that acting going, you know? And it's just like, oh yeah, it's going all right. And then, you know, like the same way they would, you know, they would tell me I'm too skinny or something like that, but then 5 minutes later they'd be saying how they have to lose weight, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, how come you don't, what, you're not, what, are you on some kind of diet, Robert?
I have,
How come you don't eat this? You don't eat this?
yeah. I have such a similar experience. I remember when I began theater, like I tried to do it professionally before high school. So I would like go to like family reunions and all my cousins would be there and they were in like science olympiad and like math olympiad and all of these like very STEM orientated things. And then I was like, "Oh, I do theater, I do acting." And they were just like really, I don't know. They didn't really. They were like, "Oh, I think you should try something else," you know. But my parents have been very supportive.
That's good. I mean, I think parents ultimately want their kids to be happy. Um, they just might have a different idea of what that is.
I think there's a large aspect of it is also success. They want their kids to be happy, but there's also this fear that acting isn't, you know, for everybody, and there's that fear that it won't work out, and that's what I think my parents they subtly tell me, they don't imply it, they also wish for my happiness, but
Mhm.
from personal experience, there's also the realistic chance that it might not work out. And personally, I'm doing many other things. Like I'm also taking business courses just to, you know, have something else out there. People are like, oh, they're two entirely different things. Why are you taking business and acting? They're nothing related. But it's just having something else there. Because realistically, not everyone's going to be able to achieve their dreams. and that's quite a brutal thing to say. But
that's that. Well, that's like who knows what's going to happen. I'll tell you this, like most of the really good actors that I know are really smart, and they could be doing anything else pretty well. So I don't think like studying something like some field of business or like being a photographer, or having like or like wanting to, I don't know, be a carpenter or any other thing. Like you can do it. It's like choice, like you can do whatever you want to do with that. You don't have to necessarily view it as like I think it is tough to put a time limit on, like, to put a track on the arts. I think it's it's like I know so many like super talented actors and actresses that I don't feel like they're appreciated, and like for whatever reason, they they're not working that much. And then I've watched so many really talented people leave acting since I started, and I always try to talk them out of it, because I'm like, look, this is like the good thing is with the arts is the past doesn't predict the future at all. Like, so it works in your favor that it's not linear. It's not like this, if I do this and I go to this program, I go to this, study it, and then I'll get this job, and then it doesn't work like that. It's almost like that feeling of
it's like
a risk.
It's like a risk, like you don't know. But
yeah,
I feel if you
know what I mean, like you can be like nothing could be happening, and then like suddenly like
life is a roller coaster.
You book like 5 shows after, like
it comes out of nowhere, but I don't think you can sit and wait for it though. Like if you love doing it, a lot of it is what is it that you love about it? Like, why are you doing it? What are you doing it for? Are you doing it to give something, or are you like kind of there waiting for somebody to give you something? Because then it becomes really passive and kind of miserable, I think, if you're like waiting for somebody to give you a part in something. So what you don't know how the career is going to unfold, but the thing you do have control of is working on the work. If you want to, like if you do music, you're like playing music and like growing and then maybe that opportunity will happen, like, and you'll be in a place where you've been growing all along. So same thing with the acting and writing. It's like if you do it. So if you're doing stuff to sustain you along the way, to support you, like, yeah, of course you're going to do that. And it's not anything doesn't take away from going after the arts, because as long as like why you're doing it, like I'm looking over here, I want to do this over here, so it doesn't matter. Like I don't feel any shame, or I'm not embarrassed to be working on this or that, because I know why I'm doing this. It's like I don't care what you think that I'm not successful. Like I want to do this thing, and I'm doing, I'll do these jobs or things like that to pay the rent or support myself along the way, and it doesn't matter, because I know why I want to do this, and it's bigger than like feeling embarrassed in some way, or feeling like you're giving up by learning something else, because you keep that. Like if you study other stuff, you keep that. You can, that life translates into the art 100%. So what you do in life, you can bring it into the art. So there's never any like jumping off of the track in any way. you know, because you're a human being, you know, like if you're out, as long as you're not like, you know, sociopath or something like that, where you've got absolutely no feelings at all, you know. Which, by the way, I read a book called The Sociopath Next Door before, and it's scary how successful they are in life by mimicking what it's like to have empathy for people. But that's a side note.
Yeah. So just like do what you love and like don't really care about what other people think about you. Because ultimately it's like your life and you only have one life, so you should do what you think is happy and what you really enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. I think it won't feel like work, and you have a better shot at like getting what you want. You know.
Won't feel like work if you're really enjoying it and you're making a living at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and then you know, having good people in your life. You know, I guess one thing, you know, like another thing is like, you know, you I haven't had a terrible experience with it, but you know, there's a lot of, you know, people carry their, you know, there are toxic people out there, you know. So like, be with good people, like not people who are like strangely competitive or like undermining you or making you feel bad in some way, or like, you know, like anytime something good happens for you or you're really working on something that's important, that something comes up and then you have to help them with something, and it takes, you know, like it's all these, you know, keep good people around you, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So we are running out of time. Thank you so much, Rob, for being with us today. I learned a lot. And do you have any like last words or things you want to like promote or shout out?
um you you mean like
Do you have any like upcoming projects that you want to shout out or anything or like
oh,
any?
yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty terrible at talking about myself. You know, it's actually, I can hang with you guys, and you know, but as far as like, you know, tell me about yourself. Like that intro was probably pretty terrible. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at like, introduce yourself. I'm like, I don't really know how to express who I am. You know, is it like a resume or something like that, or like what I've been like, wow, that sounds terrible. You could probably look it up or something like that. I'm you know, like working on, I feel like I'm always working on stuff. I always have like this pile of things that I want to do. So like this time with you know, COVID and everything happening, like it's sadly not been that different for me than it normally would be. I've been off like working, like I worked on some stuff like in the past month, and I've got a show coming up that I'm excited about, but it's not gonna start shooting until like the springtime this coming year. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't know what else. What else?
Uh,
What else would I shout out to? Should I shout out to my friends? Like just
you could shout out to your
things that
family.
nobody would know what I'm talking about. I'm just
Maybe
just
you could
like,
show them the video and you'll be like, oh, that's me.
yeah.
But anyways, thank you for coming on today. It was really nice having you here and just telling us about Asian representation and what your thoughts on it were. It was very insightful. And that's it for today. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and you know, feel free to contact me outside of this if you ever have anything else that wasn't talked about in this very short Zoom
Yeah.
Saturday night Zoom session. This is Saturday night.
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday night.
It actually is.
This is what the pandemic is. It's just
You know,
like
without the
one of the
pandemic,
better
we wouldn't be
Saturday
brought
nights I've
together.
had. because I have human contact. This is amazing. So thank you.
All right, I'm gonna end the meeting. Well, thank you. See you next.